Half a day and welcome to Life in Balance. In this episode, we will begin the discussion about what diabetes is and how to recognize the symptoms. We will learn how to cook a healthy meal with blind chef Jackie Cabrera and ease stress and increase strength and flexibility with yoga with Geri Cepeda, all in this half-hour episode of Life in Balance.
Diabetes is a metabolic disorder when the body does not produce insulin sufficiently to counteract the food that we eat, and so blood sugars start to increase. There are two main types of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, which is an autoimmune version of diabetes, where your immune system that normally protects you turns around and attacks your pancreas, and your body is no longer able to make insulin. Type 1 diabetes requires insulin. This is not usually what you see on island, but type 2 diabetes, where it is an imbalance between the food that you eat and the amount of energy you burn during the day, so that your body's not able to compensate with adequate amounts of insulin, and so your blood sugars end up increasing. It is really important to get screened for diabetes because you don't usually get symptoms until it's pretty advanced. And so diabetes is considered a silent killer, where you may not know you have it for many, many years. So getting an annual physical with your physician and getting your blood work checked is extremely important. Now, if your blood sugars start increasing, patients tell me that they feel very, very tired. They get a lot of thirst, and they increase the amount of sugar that goes out through their urine, and so they pee a lot more often. So if you're peeing and there's a lot of ants that come around the toilet, you're in big trouble, because that means your sugars are super duper high. Those are the pretty basic symptoms of diabetes. Now, if you let it go further, you may start seeing bubbles in your urine, and that's a sign of kidney damage. You may also get sharp pains and numbness in your feet, and that's signs of nerve damage to your feet. And if you get blurry vision, your lenses can get swollen, and so you don't see as well. Or worst case scenario, you can have bleeding in the back of your eyes, which makes your vision very difficult. Diabetes type 2 can be reversed with healthy exercise and a very healthy diet, with the help of your physician and medications to begin with. It's not an overnight thing that you become diabetic. So in order to improve diabetes, it's a lot of work. Could you reverse it? Absolutely. The bad thing is, if you go back to your old ways that cause the diabetes will come back with a vengeance. So we don't like to say your diabetes is cured. We like to say your diabetes is controlled, so that you don't go back to your old ways, because the diabetes will come back and haunt you if you do. Diabetes on Guam is very prevalent. There are very huge numbers of people with diabetes, and it's multifactorial. The first is we are extremely reliant on our cars. If you're going to your auntie's house down the street, you don't walk, you take your car. And I mean, that could be a bunch of different things. The weather, there's booty dogs on the street, and some people are frankly just embarrassed to go for a walk. So the amount of walking that we do, the amount of physical activity that we do, activities of daily living, is significantly lower on Guam than in most of the rest of the world. We just don't walk. The second thing is our nutrition. Everything in our culture is surrounded by food. If there's a sad occasion, there's food. If there's a happy occasion, there's food. If we just want to say thank you or I love you, it's usually food. And unfortunately, the foods that we choose to eat on island are very, very high in carbohydrates. Rice, noodles, potato, bread, corn. and lots of sugar because we love our desserts on this island. The other problem with our diet on this island is it's extremely high in fat. Chicken skin, pig skins, pig bellies, steaks, extremely high in fat. And who doesn't like your favorite auntie's best fried chicken? And so we have such a high fat diet that the carbohydrates, the starches, the sugars we eat bring our sugar up, and the fat keeps it up for many, many hours. And so a combination of our inactivity and our love of food and our bad choices of food contribute to diabetes. Also, the other problem is we don't have easy access to the nutritious food. It's really hard to find fresh vegetables and fresh fruit on the island, which make it even more difficult for people. And when you do, it's extremely expensive because it's air freighted in. And goodness knows our farmers work really, really hard, but there's still just not enough locally produced produce. And so the lack of access to healthy fruits and vegetables also makes it very difficult to control your diabetes. But remember, you can always get frozen green beans, frozen broccoli, frozen cauliflower, which are just as nutritious and easier access. It doesn't go bad quickly, and you can get it for a lot cheaper than the fresh stuff. Avoiding diabetes is extremely important. Just because your family has it doesn't mean you're doomed to get it. So, little things matter. So try to get a lot more exercise, physical activity. Park a little further, walk a little further. If you're going to visit a relative, go for a walk. If you have the ability to do so, go for a walk in your neighborhood, or even doing laps around your house makes a big difference every single day. Eat a lot more vegetables and fresh fruits instead of picking the bad for you snacks that come out of a box or a bag, and try to make smart choices when you're eating. So if you get seconds of vegetables. Try to avoid the fatty meats. If you can pick a leaner cut of meat to cook, that's what you should be doing. Because why are you paying for all that extra fat that's added in anyway? You might as well pay for the lean cuts. And try your very best to be very conscientious of everything that you do on a daily basis.
Coming up, we will head to Lacey, Washington to cook a healthy meal with Jackie Cabrera.
Apde, Isla en Guam. Guahu si Jacqueline Borja Cabrera. I am a diabetic and have been a diabetic since age 11, and I had lost my eyesight back in 2001. Moving out here to Washington was the place for me to be able to seek a school where I was able to learn all the necessary things to help me function more and to become more independent as a blind person. I've actually turned to cooking, which became a therapy for me. And through the years in my journey, just started to excel and just found it to be a passion. And I remember that back home when I was in Guam in 2015 when my youngest brother had passed away, while I was there, because I stayed there for almost 2 months, I was asked to come over to the diabetes meeting and do a presentation and share my story. And one of the things that I had prepared was a quinoa salad. Okay, let's look what I have here for the quinoa salad. Oh, this looks like quinoa. Cilantro, zucchini, red, that looks red, bell pepper, cherry tomatoes. I know I spread them all here, I just need to look for it. Cucumber, almond. So this is what it looks like when it's not cooked. And this is what quinoa looks like when it's cooked. And quinoa, you could actually not only a salad, but you can use it for anything. Stir fry, it's almost like a fried rice. And the nice thing about it is it's a lot healthier than eating white rice. So we're just cutting up some red bell pepper here. And the red bell pepper has a very nice sweetness to it. And now I am going to take, I had pre-cut some cucumbers earlier. A lot of people tend to freak out when they see me cutting because I can't see. But I've been doing this for so long and just been practicing it. And it's just comes second nature to me. So I had attended Western Culinary Institute back in 2007. That was in Portland, Oregon. And I had gone there because I was turned down here because I'm blind. So of course, you all know that that's a bummer, but I didn't let that stop me, and I just continued to go on. I graduated with honors, and here I am today doing what I do and hoping that I could be able to share this with folks that are visually impaired and blind and special needs and those that would like to learn. So now I am cutting cherry tomatoes, and we're going to throw this into the salad as well. And zucchini is also good to eat raw, so you can eat it in your salad, just in case if you're wondering. So I am actually just doing a small dice here. And I know I need to put my red onions in here. There. Yes. Well, this is what I have to do on a normal basis. Look for my ingredients. So we're just gonna, I sliced up some red onions, cleaned them already. So we're just gonna throw that in. I am going to make my sauce. It's with balsamic vinegar. I have my black pepper here. This feels like my balsamic vinegar, my Himalayan salt, and olive oil. So a lot of people also ask me, how do I know which one is which? Well, I go by a lot of shapes and sizes, you know, whether it's soy sauce, fish sauce. My vinegars, I use so many different types of vinegars, so we always get different types of bottles. One of the things that for me, whenever I'm cooking, is I actually taste to measure, not measure to taste. So I'm sorry if I can't give you the exact measurements. But I've just put some olive oil into my bowl. And I'm squeezing some balsamic vinegar. And sometimes if you see me turning my head, that's because I'm listening for how much is coming out. Because that's how I'm able to tell. Okay, and then I have some black pepper here. And again, measurements are all in my hands. And one of the salts that I do use a lot is Himalayan salt. Very good for you. So I'm just going to try this.
The room temperature is 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
And I need to come back and add more balsamic vinegar. So I use condiment bottles also because it helps it, it's easier for me to measure. Measure by listening and keeping control of the liquid. Give it a spoon. It's where I want it to be now. So I'm going to take this and pour it down onto my quinoa. What a difference the fresh garlic makes. That sounds like a nice pour. And I'm going to mix this together. And I'm going to feel, I think I need a little bit more quinoa. I'm going to add just a little bit more sauce. Make sure I'm pouring in the right bowl. Listen for the drizzle. And I'm going to mix it one more time. cilantros. Many folks don't really like cilantros because of the smell, but this is also another herb that's very good for you. So I am just dicing it up. I know cilantro can come off a little bit too strong, but I also do have friends that can just eat it with a whole bunch. The last thing I'm actually going to put in here is some slivered almonds, and I know I set that up out here somewhere, and right there you are. This slivered almonds here gives it also texture, and of course very good for you. I put the rest of this cilantro in. Cut this lime up. I'm just going to squeeze a little bit, and this is just to wake it up a little bit more. Just a tad salt, Himalayan salt. You can use any kind of salt, sea salt, kosher salt. You can use regular salt back home too, like the Morton salt, but this one is very good. And black pepper. Now you could always add things if you want to make this spicy. You could add red pepper flakes. You could add more black pepper, just depending on what you like. So a quick review. So this is my quinoa salad, and then I've got some diced up zucchini, cucumber, red onions, and cherry tomatoes in here. And I minced up some fresh garlic and put it into the sauce, which is just balsamic vinegar with olive oil, some salt and black pepper. A very simple vinaigrette. And then just squeeze some lime in here at the end just to wake it up. And I also put the cilantros and slivered almonds.
Up next, it's yoga with Geri Cepeda at the beautiful Akanta Business Center.
Hi, thanks for joining me. I'd like to remind you as you go through the different yoga poses to breathe as you need to. Breathe deeply, and also remember yoga is for everybody and for every body. So as I go through the different moves, please remember, do only as much as you're comfortable. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. I like to start in mountain pose. You can bring your toes together or slightly wider apart. Take a deep breath, firm up your thighs. Maybe put your hands on your stomach and feel your stomach muscles tighten. Roll your shoulders back and down. And I invite you to breathe deeply here, taking a deep inhale, and then exhale as your hands slowly reach out toward the ground. Inhale here again, deeply, and then exhale. I invite you to bring maybe one arm up overhead as you reach to the side. Inhaling, reaching up, and then exhaling, reaching for one side. Inhaling again, bringing both arms up maybe this time, lowering the arm, taking the opposite hand, and reaching for the other side. Inhaling one last time, bringing both arms up. Maybe taking a look at your hands as you take a deep breath here. Exhale, bringing your arms down. If you find that's difficult, only bring your arms up as much as you're comfortable. You can bring it up to the side, halfway, and bringing it down. Or you can bring it to the front. Again, only as much as you're comfortable. And then exhaling down. The next step I'd like to do is the star pose. So bringing your feet a little bit wider than your hips. You can put your hands on your hips. Bring your arms out and think of yourself as a 5-pointed star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the top of your head. Breathing deeply, inhaling as much as you're comfortable, reaching out as much as you're comfortable. If you need some help, maybe you'd like to hold on to a chair. Here, that will work also. If you'd like to bring your shoulders up and back down as you inhale and exhale, we'll move on now to Warrior Two. So I invite you to take one foot, one or the other, point it toward the short end of your yoga mat, and slowly bend your front knee. Inhaling here, exhaling as you bend only as much as you're comfortable. Taking your shoulders up and back. With Warrior Two pose, I invite you next to sweep your back arm and bring it to the front into Warrior One pose. Again, only as much as you're comfortable. In fact, you can leave your arms, your hands here on your hips. Inhaling back up to Star pose, and we'll do the other side. I have the chair here so you can always hold on to this. Bringing your front foot pointing to the short side of the mat, and again, bending your knees as much as you're comfortable. Hold on to the chair if it helps with your stability. Taking another inhale here, maybe bring both arms up to Warrior One. Again, holding onto the chair or keeping your hands on your hips. Coming back up to Star pose. Bringing your arms back up. Inhaling here. And then exhaling. If you'd like to try a forward fold, maybe bring your arms back to your hands back to your hips. Slowly bend forward as much as you're able, as much as you're comfortable with. Again, maybe holding onto the chair for stability. If you can bring your hands down, you can do that. And bend a little further if you're comfortable. Otherwise, please keep your hands on your hips or on a chair as you inhale deeply and exhale here. Inhale, coming back up to Star. Hands on your hips. One last inhale before you step your feet together at the front of the mat, and maybe ending with mountain pose. One last inhale with your arms overhead, again, only as much as you're comfortable. Coming back down. Thank you for joining me.